each week I do a countdown, and I promise I'm going to have a theme song.
Toys, 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 manly toys, 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 toys,
Let them
toys, 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 toys,
and TV and movies too. Hey everybody, welcome back. It's the Toy Duo team. But you know what? This is going to be the best of 2023. So what you're going to see here today are some clips and snippets from live streams that we've done all throughout the year. We started on the 14th of January in 2023. So on the 13th of January, next week, it's going to be basically a year since we started. We're going to start with season 2 of the Toy Duo team. We're going to probably have some new features or segments as part of the show. We're going to maybe try to keep similar format. Truly, the Toy Duo is a collaboration of YouTube hosts. If you haven't already, go subscribe to their channels and check out their videos. All of them are really good guys. Go follow them on Twitter or Instagram or YouTube and check out their videos. Their links are in the description of this video. But anyways, so we're going to do some clips from 2023. I hope you stick with it and enjoy it, and we'll see you next week on the Toy Duo team. It's kind of interesting the way Boba Fett has come about, right? How many Boba Fetts do you say you have in your collection?
Oh, dude, including vintage collection,
Yeah.
probably like maybe 25.
Okay, so I also have a bunch of Boba Fetts. And I have this book. It's called Return of the Jedi, and it's a storybook based on the movie. Do you remember this thing, having this as a kid?
It looks like, yeah, maybe in school, like you could check it out at the library.
And I looked through it again, and this is the only picture of Boba Fett in this book. Which is kind of interesting to me, that Boba Fett to me has like spawned this like Star Wars lore in the Mandalorians and the whole thing, and you got Jango Fett and how Boba Fett's become so prolific over the years, and he spawned from a character that has one picture in that storybook, spent like a minute on screen in Return of the Jedi, and I mean a little bit longer in Empire Strikes Back, but not really doing anything like exciting or fantastic, right? He was just a character. And so this is like storyboards from the book. And you can see in here where Boba Fett launches off Jabba's skiff, then he comes down, and you can see on the bottom where he like wraps up Luke with his like his rope right here. And then if you get to the next one, you can see Luke's here, and then he cuts himself free, and then you see that he's getting ready to shoot Luke, who jumped to the other skiff, and then Han Solo swinging that thing around and hits Boba Fett in the back. So that's exactly what happened in the movie, right? So the interesting part is when you look at some of the other, and then he flies off and he tumbles into the Sarlacc, and the Sarlacc burps. Yeah. So they also had these other screens in here, these other shots. And when you look at this, he like lands, right? And he's behind what looks like Chewbacca, and he fires, and it looks like in this one, I don't know if you could see it, he like grazes Chewbacca's shoulder and shoots past Chewbacca, right? And then in this square here, he like cuts off Boba Fett's hand.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So here's a closer view of that shot. You can see where he shoots this guy right here, and he shoots past Chewie, and you can see it kind of like just barely grazes him here. I don't know if Chewbacca's like screaming because he got kind of hit by the blaster fire or whatever, or if he's just screaming because maybe he's in this fight with this guy, like he's struggling, right? But then in this next shot, you can see that Boba Fett's hand is cut off, which didn't happen in the movie. And then you got this part here where Luke actually cuts Boba Fett's backpack or jetpack. I always call it a backpack. I don't know why. But I think it's very interesting that we didn't see any of this transpire, right? But check this out. There is a picture from the movie, and I'll just zoom in on this. Look at that.
Looks great, man.
See the jetpack?
Yeah.
It's got like a gash in it that indeed would probably have come from Luke Skywalker hitting that jetpack with his lightsaber. So it's like that was like intended to be in there. And I'm wondering like if they filmed some of it or if they just didn't think, if it just didn't make the cut, it just ended up on the cutting room floor or what the deal was. But this to me makes sense when Han Solo hits the jetpack and it launches, right? Because now we know the jetpack has been damaged. So I think it's really interesting that like he had such a short frame on the movie, but there was actually more to that scene, you know, with Luke and Boba Fett or on that skiff. And I think it kind of makes sense now, you know, when I see like Han Solo hitting him with the jetpack and then it goes flying uncontrollably because it was damaged by Luke Skywalker's lightsaber. Hold on, I'm going to take a minute and just say, Connor says, if you look closely, the jetpack says made in China.
Yeah.
But do you want to show anything off before we go?
No. Oh, let me just show this guy out. That's cool.
See, I
I
know I
finally
can
got the comic book Spidey.
Oh, check this out. 1,000 Ghost sent me. Where is he? Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, you got one too? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
a
was
cool
like,
figure,
holy
man.
smoke,
Good job,
dude.
Vern. You didn't
was
have
like
one of
super
these
stoked.
before, did you?
I never did. I kept asking you to send me
Yeah,
one.
I remember.
And you had like
yeah.
5 of them, and you kept saying,
No, I only
"Oh,
had one.
no, dude,
It
I'm
was a
never
black
sending you
suit
a figure."
symbiote Spidey. It was a
The only
symbiote
problem is,
Spidey.
look at this. It's not punched.
Oh, no way. So that will be hard to open. Ooh.
Yeah, so it's like, how do I open the darn thing?
And this was like a Comic-Con one too, I think. And
Yeah, so
Walmart
I'm
had
like,
it though.
how do I open it if it's unpunched?
Yeah.
Right?
I don't know if I'll open this one.
So torn, but I mean, just awesome to have. So I
Yeah,
guess that.
that's the one to have. You should hang that probably right below your poster there. I think it would look cool. You got that white space.
Oh, right over
underneath
here.
that poster. Yeah, it would look cool right
the
there.
only problem is my pile will get higher and run into it.
Yeah.
Sean Solo got his Mondo Deluxe He-Man this week.
Man, yeah. Good for you, man. He's actually really cool, but I do recommend just getting a hair dryer for maybe 10 seconds and just heat up that upper torso part because mine was all stuck together. And I've seen so many people snap them, but honestly, I'll pull a close up of this guy, and he doesn't need to stand. He stands on his own, but this guy is beyond badass, man. So epic. He is beautiful, but I really do. This is one of my favorites, man. And like I said, he's gonna have the shelf next to the Final Fantasy characters. The only problem though is this knife is like loose. But other than that, yeah, he's badass. Pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's like me. Some of these figures, when I've been rearranging, some of them I've had to rinse with water. They were so dusty, and you just can't wipe it off. So I just run it under a tab.
I was going to show this. So you were talking about the pinned legs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I have the Medusa figure.
Oh, yeah.
And it's kind of been on my top shelf in sort of this pose because the hair is so heavy that I have to like use the hair to sort of balance the figure. But if I straighten it, right, you can see where the leg has.
Oh my goodness!
The legs have like bowed over time, right? And I mean, that's what happens when you pose your figure and just leave it on a shelf. It may look really good because it's still in that pose, but it's caused like that bend.
Yeah, the weight just over time, even though it doesn't weigh very much, it's crazy.
Right.
Now, I don't remember this one. The guy with the lightsaber, was that supposed to be Han Solo or something?
I think that was.
Everybody was going to have one originally.
I think that's actually the 2 Star Killers in this picture.
Okay.
Or brother and sister or whatever, right? That's what I actually think this picture is supposed to be because that's a woman, and I think those are the 2 twins. So Luke's Star Killer and probably Leia Star Killer or whatever her name was originally is my.
Still would have been a cool movie, huh?
Yeah,
it's just they didn't have the technology. I'm sure it would have looked like that if he had the technology back then.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? They had to make do.
how the story would have been different. Like the next trilogy would have been like the brother and sister fighting each other because one of them or the two brothers, right? Like if it was the original and Luke becomes Vader. If like say we just go with the characters that we have, Luke would have become Vader pretty much at the end, because I think that like Lawrence Kasdan actually was in favor of that story arc, but it got axed because Lucas was concerned about kids watching, and so that's why he wanted the good to prevail. But can you imagine the next trilogy could have been Luke and Leia, Luke versus Leia, right? Like her having to get trained because now she's the one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Kasdan wanted somebody else to get killed too, and Lucas said no. You know, I can't remember who it was. Probably Han.
JT, Star Wars has always been about Rey Skywalker.
Disney always, man. It all leads to Rey.
It all leads to Rey. Palpatine. Let's see.
That is the best Luke Skywalker.
I'm gonna make you
figure.
Yeah, so that's a okay. So I think I agree with you. Man. That is a fantastic figure. I don't
know if it's better than the new one or not that you got, the Mandalorian, but yeah, that is incredible. But actually, for the money, this is the best Luke Skywalker.
So that is the
SH Figure Arts.
Yeah.
But look at that. That is insane, man. Really, really good job on that. Okay, and because of the wired cape. Ooh, just beautiful figure, man.
See, and that's what I wish they would throw wiring in the Black Series cape.
Yeah. Even the hood is wired.
The cape on this new Luke is so big, and you can't you have to really just like fold it. But if it had wire, it would like hold it in place. But that indoor Luke is pretty much this Luke.
Yeah.
Right. And here's the indoor. This is the indoor Luke. Now, the only difference between yours and mine is this guy came with two chest pieces, and one of the chest pieces, it's got that fold down. So I peeled this one off. I had to pry it off because it's glued. It was glued on the indoor one, and I swapped it with this one so that I can have this version with that piece folded down. Now, I'm waiting for them to say in the 40th anniversary, why are we not getting like... We should have, I mean, if they were going to do the indoor Luke, I think they could have thrown in the extra chest piece because they already have the mold for it. Right.
And they could do a deluxe box and people would buy it with a wired cape, multiple chest pieces.
Just to give Hasbro added value. So let's hold up your figure arts again. And let's check out these faces next to each other. I'm going to kind of hide myself. Or do this. And then you guys can tell us like which one, or do they look?
I think they went worse. That Mandalorian one looks like almost like trash compared to the indoor.
The most challenging project is the next project.
The next one, the one you'll surprise us with today?
No. I mean, so the answer is that every single next project is to us is the most challenging, because what we've done now is a challenge, and we've learned from each project. Each project is unique at the present moment. There's no two projects that's exactly the same. Even the Red Gullwing differs from the Great White. The 80s commanders, each figure is different, right? The Apache commander had different characteristics, right? So every single one is different, and I would say that the next project is always the most challenging for us because we want to do better.
That's a great answer, and I appreciate the fact that you've dove in, so to speak, and you've come up with action figures and then vehicles for that similar scale, 6-inch, 7-inch scale, and now the diorama kind of idea. So I think. You're really challenging yourself with 3 different types of toys, so to speak. And I guess the only thing you're really missing now would be like retro 3.75-inch action figures, and then we will think so much higher. No, but good work and congratulations on
each of these challenging items, I do see them as being challenging because you are changing direction in a way. Like you go from an action figure to a kind of a transforming kind of a vehicle in a new scale that's kind of, you know, new to everyone, and you're stepping into that dimension, and then a larger scale, and now the diorama. So like, you know, congrats on you know, stepping in all of these different aspects of you know, the toy collecting that many of us are involved with as collectors.
Thank you. Yeah.
So that looks like a breakdown, a digital breakdown, and this looks like how the figure with size in there. And instead of looking at these models,
oh wow,
we just do
look
this.
at that. Jeez.
So there we go.
Wow, that looks fantastic.
Oh man.
So it's gonna open up as you saw just now. The it's over here, and there's
nice.
And then on the back, obviously it opens up as well.
Get your Mr. T out, Rick.
No, what are you talking about?
He's ready. He's ready to put him in. Let him drive. Let him drive.
There's no Mr. T. Come on.
There we go.
Oh,
so you can open up
beautiful.
The back side. All right. That closes. Obviously, the door opens. Right. And then the door opens here. Right. So I got a figure in there. We're gonna tweak. We're gonna tweak the seat to be higher. So the reason why I'm not showing actual pictures of this right now is because I'm not yet satisfied with this prototype.
Okay.
I'm still tweaking it. Okay. And
yeah, we understand.
The wheels would turn this way. And obviously there's a bottom, right?
Yes.
That's obviously the middle, and this is the top. So yeah.
So I have a question about this.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you think in the final, like, because I saw the packaging you did on that ramen racer and the wheels come off, do you think like these wheels will be built the same? Will they be able to come off?
This will be built differently because this is built with economy in mind.
Okay.
All right. As big as this is, it's gonna be 145 US dollars.
Okay.
And the early bird would be $99.99 US dollars.
Wow.
Brilliant.
That's fantastic.
So it's gonna be built differently in a sense that it's gonna be a lot of injection color.
Sure.
You know, and then the wheels are sort of like what you would get with a conventional car toy, where there's a rod, a metal rod, and then this two gets snapped inside by a tight fit. So I think if you want to pull it out, you might achieve it, but it's not supposed to because.
Well, Vern likes to take the heads off his action figures. So
well, what I'm wondering.
Maybe because it doesn't come with an action figure, he's like, I gotta pop the wheels off.
Yeah, because for the ramen racer, it is a screw and nut.
Okay.
There's actually a nut in the axle, and there's a screw that you can, you know, unscrew and take out the wheels. So that's a concept, and that obviously costs more than, you know, two wheels that's just clamped together. So if you want to remove it, it might damage something. I don't know.
I wish.
I'm curious.
I'm
really just curious if those
or
fiery ramen racer fire things will fit on.
Now I know where Vern's going. He wants to put the fire effects on it.
or I could. I don't know.
Vern is now the junior vice advisor.
Well, you got a lot of.
We're gonna find a way with silicone and hot
on
glue.
Your price point, and they're saying that it's well worth it. You got a couple of wows in there. 100% it's going to be in their collection.
Because the way we figure this out is like this, right? Not everybody is going to buy multiples. Well, they should want to buy multiples
at $100.
Right?
You might.
But most likely you will not want to buy multiples of this, or rather
unless you are producing it in two colors like you are with the car.
Okay, let me correct myself. You want to buy multiples of it. That's why you do not want to buy an expensive piece.
True.
That's what I meant.
There you go.
That's what I meant. Okay, so this cannot be expensive. Otherwise, it just puts people off. People want to buy this, but they want it to house the figures. They want it for photography. It's not to play per se. This is actually a complement of your figures.
I think you're misunderstanding. We all are adults that play with our toys.
Okay. Sorry about that. So yeah, so to keep it simple, keep it cheap. We want to make sure that the aesthetics is good, and then we keep the price down, and that's how we want to approach the top, middle, and bottom series. So every other top, middle, and bottom vehicle that we're going to be coming up with is going to have that economical value in mind.
And then Connor was asking about a pre-order, and I think you just answered that. You're going to get the Ramen Racer out before you get some more up there. So don't listen to what that's Dan right here. Don't listen to your wallet. Okay, Mr. B. Ramen has a website. I think if I didn't put the link in the description of this show, I definitely will to the website, and can always follow on Instagram as well. Are you on Twitter as well, or just Facebook?
Yeah, we are. Well, Twitter is there is an account, but we're not really updating too much on Twitter. You know, the main updates is on Instagram and Facebook, and then and on YouTube. So yeah.
So Waze is 100% picking all of these up. He's been secretly messaging me, telling me, how do I find the exclusive links to this one, that one?
Let me lose your code to get you your compensation off of it. No, see, my whole problem with this was, okay, it's an interesting idea, right? Interesting. But you would think coming off the bat, you would have the iconic holograms as the first wave, right? Like you would think. If I'm thinking,
Luke, greetings, Exalted One. I am Luke Skywalker, Jedi Knight and friend of Captain Solo.
So like,
or Leia. Or
there's four that I think of right off the bat: Clone Trooper, or Cody, Commander Cody, more specifically. Palpatine, Leia, and then maybe Luke or Vader as like the other hologram. But like even Vader, did he show up as a hologram really as much? So like have it as one
figures too, right? Like they're fully posable.
Yeah, they're just repaints, clear repaints. They're basically
they're
essentially the Force Ghost, just clear. You know what I mean? Like clear.
I think the Emperor would be like definitely the first one to have. You know,
I would have.
First one would have been.
I would have brought Palpatine.
Or even think about this. Even Snoke would make. Because he was a hologram through 2 whole movies, right?
If they would have did Palpatine, chances are I would have bought Palpatine because I could put him right on the Inquisitor shelf as a hologram, and that would look awesome. But none of these.
Solo one of these?
Yeah, he'd be exclusive.
See, and that's the weirdest part. I absolutely should have been Leia. Should have been the first one.
When was Han Solo ever in a hologram?
And
when he went into the Carbonite.
He wasn't a hologram when he went in Carbonite.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was something in the comics that
there's probably.
I don't know why they chose these characters. Why they thought this was a good idea in the first place. It's just not.
The most puzzling one is Axe Woes.
Well,
out of all of them,
he shows up in Mando as a hologram, though. He does make sense as a hologram.
But in terms of desirability,
he's
like. So, does it come?
I'm just saying, logically,
or do you have to buy a light bulb?
No, so it comes with the light, but it doesn't come with batteries. So you gotta buy the batteries on your own.
That's all right.
So here's what I want to know. So for our friends in like Ireland who have to now get Joe's from Pulse, do you also got to get these from Pulse and then pay the import taxes?
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't have I don't really have a huge problem with these. Like they're interesting and whatnot. I'm not, as of right now, picking any of them up or planning to.
Yeah,
but, I mean, if I see them at Ollie's or Ross for $3.99, I'll buy them.
Yeah, that's
definitely down. You gotta do
it. But it's better than the credit collection or carbonized.
I'll give you that.
I don't. So, like, do you think there's some sort of quota to their production where they have to do all of these repaints? in order to like
to justify the molds. Yeah.
I'm really struggling with Black Series at the moment. So I went over to the shop or store specifically to pick up the Luke figure.
Yeah.
And I had the Wicked in hand, and he's just, I know comes with a couple of accessories, but like the figure's this size, and they want $28.99 for him. So
ooh, worth every penny. Ooh.
So
can't wait to get that cute dude.
That's the thing. Yeah, that's the part I don't understand. He's 1/3 the size of a normal figure, but they have the gall to charge the same amount.
Yeah,
it should have been two Ewoks, Wicket and someone else of similar size.
Yeah, he came with a boatload of accessories, right?
Yeah, he does.
He comes with a
and he finally has. Does he have jointed knees this time? I'm not sure.
And he's on a card, right? They gave him that really nice card.
Yeah.
But what about the legends this week, guys? Talk about a slap in the face, one of each hand. And during the show, they're like, "Oh, we're not going to show the accessories right now," and there's a reason for that because each figure, some figures didn't even come with any hands or accessories, like Tarantula.
Oh,
they showed the carded.
Yeah, that was 2 weeks ago because we.
But they released the pre-order this week, showing how everything only came with like one swipper. And one fist, and it's like, what are they doing, man? They're totally ripping the customers off. It's getting out of hand.
They must have been in like a meeting, and they said, "Okay, here's the deal: we can start offering like one hand, or one of you guys has to go."
Damn, I wouldn't doubt it.
But they're putting them on the retro card.
Yes,
on the retro line. Mm-hmm. So we're getting plastic packaging shoved down our necks, which plastic-free packaging, and then they're bringing out this brand new wave of Spider-Man figures, but putting it on the retro style pack. Even though they're all from Game and Verse, they're not our animation. They're not from.
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys disappointed in that Star Wars retro packaging, or do you like it? The cards? Retro. I mean, like, I feel like the cards are a little boring. I know they're meant to look like something that came out before, but they're just like, they're all the same except for that one little picture on the side.
Yeah,
you know what
I think it's really to get new people into collecting, because that may have done it for me. Because I know when I seen those in the store, I was like, oh, that's really cool. It just reminds you of your childhood.
I just think the scale is off.
Yeah,
and then when you flip the card around and it's just all text as well, that takes it away. If they had
collect them all and stuff.
Collect them all, or even the figures the wave, or even showing figures from the previous wave that you could still get. you know? It would make it a bit more interesting.
Yeah, I was told, someone told me it was illegal to put more than, say, 5 or 6 figures on the back of the packaging, and they had to have all that text. Mm-hmm. And then I said, it can't be illegal. That cannot be the answer, because if you look at a Super 7 reaction figure, like look at the new Transformers ones, there's like 38 Transformer figures on the back of that packaging.
Right. Oh, it's
so
not
they have every single figure that's come out for Super 7 Transformers on the back of that packaging.
Transformers has a waiver.
Yeah.
It's the same with G.I. Joe. Look at the G.I. Joe figures. I got one right here. They've got every single figure on the back of the box.
Oh, G.I. Joe has a waiver team.
Oh, do they? Yeah.
G.I. Joe's just slapping Marvel and Star Wars upside the head,
The whatever Hasbro is doing, they're just doing it wrong.
I think.
Jonathan says he wants R5D4 in proper scale.
Yeah, supposedly this R2 is in proper scale. I'm not too fussy about that kind of stuff, really.
Like
paint apps we talked about last week.
All right, so I know that like we were going to talk about like history or whatever. I made a little video. I'm going to play it right now. Just you guys can laugh at my voiceover or whatever. but
of course not.
I think we'll be on the side. If you guys can't hear it, let me know, because I don't know if the audio will play through. But I'm going to try to do that. This is kind of like my little short history of G.I. Joe,
it's all
Action
wrong.
Man, Action Force. Okay, ready? 1964, Hasbro released the G.I. Joe Action Soldier, which took the U.S. by storm. But the question then becomes, how do you get this action soldier to the rest of the world? Palitoy licensed the figure and created Action Man to sell in the UK and the rest of the world. And they created this international hero that was based on the same figure. After the popularity of the 12-inch figures went away, in the US they created the G.I. Joe in a 3.34-inch scale figure. And Palitoy launched a 3.34-inch figure and called it Action Force. There were even comics to celebrate the real American hero and the international heroes. Check out the covers. But later, in 1989, the Action Force is renamed G.I. Joe, the Action Force. But later, in 1991, everything is just branded G.I. Joe. And that's it. Action Force, where did it go? Well, in 2019, it was rebirthed on a Kickstarter by Valaverse. And now we have a whole new line of action figures to look forward to. And there you have it, everybody. On with the show!
Well done.
That's my little short presentation about the history of it.
Very good.
Because somebody asked last week, like, what was Action Force doing at Joe Fest? And I think it's like kind of important to realize that like they weren't selling G.I. Joe, a real American hero, in other parts of the world, right? So Connor, when you were growing up, it was Action Force.
So G.I. Joe meant nothing to me as a child. It didn't exist. It wasn't on my radar. It wasn't even a thing. When we were small, there was, of course, Action Man, which was the UK version of the 12-inch G.I. Joe figure. Now, understandably, it wasn't that popular for Irish kids to be going around playing with British soldiers at the time because of everything that was going on. However, popping over to Liverpool with my grandmother, used to go a couple of times a year, I was starting to get a nice collection of Action Men, and I again loved the fact that they were so articulated. So a big one I loved was the SAS one, because he had the hood with the goggles, the gas mask, and that was, you could see it on the news when the SAS raided the Iranian embassy in the UK. They were wearing that outfit. And I actually had a 12-inch toy of that. So needless to say, I was in love with this guy, and you saw the action on the news and TV, and you were able to sort of recreate it with your figure. And they were awesome. And again, it was all about, you go out to the garden, you'd set your figure up, kind of, coming through the grass or coming through the hedgerows with his rifle and set up a little scene that you were playing with, and there were loads of fun. But the sales of that kind of died down. And then Palitoy then, based on the success of the Star Wars, because they had the Star Wars license from Hasbro for UK distribution, decided, let's use our Action Man line, scale it down to the same size as the Star Wars figures, and pump them out at this discounted price. And that's what they start doing. And I remember going into shops, and I remember them being fairly reasonable. I think they were like 49 cents or 79.
Yeah, they weren't even $1. Yeah.
So it was a case where if you were out shopping, and we all hated getting dragged into the city with your mother for shopping, that she'd buy you, if you shut up, I'll buy you a toy. And you knew you were getting an action figure. So I went in, and again, I've mentioned it before, but as a kid, I'd spend hours lining up all my little German soldiers, all my little Allied soldiers, and creating a little battle scene with these little 2-inch plastic molded figures. And to get a 3 or 3 3/4 inch version that comes with a weapon or a backpack, and you could move his arms, again, there were only 5 POA. I was just blown away, and literally went from Star Wars to Action Force overnight. The films
and
stage.
Palitoy did an interesting thing where they looked at the sales of the 12-inch figures, and they picked the 12 most popular high-selling figures to scale down into that 3.75-inch thing. So, and then it just blew from there, because once those were selling out all over the place and kids were buying them in mass, they expanded the line, and made up their own villains and stuff, right? Like Baron Ironblood and stuff like that. And then they made up they made up different groups. Like they had the SAS, like you're saying, they had the Z Force, right, and the Space Force. So they made up their own like units for each different section they had. You know, like
and that one, and so Palatoy were brilliant at the time. They had a great department for Imagine. So that figure you had there, John, I could be wrong. I think he's Black Major.
Oh yeah, this is Black Major. You're right. Yeah, not Baron. Baron Ironblood is the one with the red or with the iron. He's got the iron mask thing on, right? Yeah.
He was the baddie with the Ned Kelly helmet.
Yeah, the helmet thing. Yeah.
This guy here came with an AK-47 style rifle, and he came with a little code book, a little cardboard book that you could fold out, and it had, say, letters and symbols. So you could write secret codes.
Yeah.
And you'd write a message to your friend and you'd send him home and he'd have to decode it then with his Black Major decode book. And
Black Major. You're right. I got the name wrong. You're right. Black Major.
But again, and this is the brilliance of Palatoy at the time. By adding just a little piece of cardboard and this code book, it made the playability of a simple action figure that much more, that kids could be involved and, you know, write the code that the action force have to rob off them and get back to the base decode to find out where the big of course you'd use your Star Wars logic, get back to where the big laser cannon is going to be destroy the country. So there was
that was the other brilliant things to do them in 5 POA, and they were the same scale as Star Wars. So it's like you really could mix in a lot of your Star Wars guys with this, where in the United States where we had G.I. Joe, there was a definite distinction because of the more articulation that G.I. Joe had. And not every Star Wars figure would fit in a G.I. Joe vehicle. So you couldn't, where your action force vehicles could fit Star Wars figures most of the time.
Oh, yeah. You know? And of course, we all had, we probably wouldn't have had a lot of vehicles as kids, you know, growing up wouldn't be a lot of money, but some of us, have an X-Wing or a Snow Speeder, and certainly all the mini rigs. And we all had mini rigs, and all your action force figures would fit into the mini rig. So it meant that playtime was mixed.
Yeah,
you didn't play with your Star Wars figures. You didn't play Drax for. You got your toys, and your world build, your imagination, or your playtime based on what you had. So everything was mixed together.
And the cool thing about it too was, yeah, you were meant to like write the secret code to your friend, but how often did you write the secret code and then get a good guy to get it? And you would sit there and decipher the code yourself, acting like you're the good guy deciphering the code, right? You know, like you'd basically write codes to yourself.
Definitely, yeah, 100%.
You actually went through deciphering it because you forgot what the
message. No, you just had to do it because the good guy had to do it. You know what I mean? Like
it was part of the game. You had to find
it was part of the play.
The enemy base was.
I'm just messing with you. Rick from Left Coast Graphics has joined us. Vader Girl Cat is here.
What's up, guys?
Hey, Rick.
Silly Gamers just wanted to say hello to a couple more people who showed up. Jesse's talking about Desert Rat figures really popular, and this is a very interesting thing because the Desert Rat was an action force, right? John Connor, was he an action man also?
Yeah, I don't think he was called Desert Rat as an action man. I'm open to correction on that. So I think all the action man just were generic with whatever accessory pack he came with. So it would be like a Desert Soldier or a
that makes soldier. Sense. So this one has transitioned to Valverse.
Yeah. But so again, John alluded to it there, said it there that they were picking their best lines of the most popular action man and downsizing them. So and of course, oh my God, I can't. There was a film out at the time, a film out years ago about the Allies in the North Africa, and they were wearing that kind of outfit. So naturally, when you saw a figure in that military style outfit, you'd be like, oh, and grab it. Now, I can't remember whether Desert Rat was available over here or not, or the UK. So like I said, I used to be over in Liverpool a couple of times a year and with my grandmother, and I was spoiled rotten. I was the eldest grandchild. So I would have got stuff. Now, so I had a Desert Rat figure as a kid. I did have one. I can't remember where he came from. And like that again, it was you'd have your mixture. You'd have your jungle trooper, your SAS trooper, or your desert trooper, and
a scuba trooper. There was a scuba, yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then there was that space trooper kind of, the yellow and blue, weren't they space troopers?
So I never really went for the space guys.
Yeah.
Even now I'm the same. I sort of go to the more army guys, and I think it all comes back to playing with those little plastic toy soldiers. That's where it all began for me. That recreating Kelly's heroes at the Guns and Navarone on my living room floor.
So the G.I. Joe Real American Hero, right? Like, I know that line. So I want to know about this Action Force, right? Like, that was more of an international group of heroes. So what was the storyline behind the Action Force?
So there wasn't really a storyline till later on. So as they brought out the products, it evolved, and that's where they split it out into Space Force or Q Force. Further on in the line, where they were bringing out more product, and I think there was 5 different factions.
Yeah, there was Z Force, the SAS,
and then you had the Red
Q
Shadow
Force,
enemy.
yeah.
And of course the enemy soldiers had an amazing sculpt that was very reminiscent of other real life baddies that your child brain would just explode when playing with them.
Well, they really hit on the red and black too, because they made those skull troopers and all those with the red and black colors. Remember, he was a red suit with a black helmet, and and
weren't those like late '80s when they came out with those the skull
troopers?
Yeah, things like that. Was that late '80s?
I think it was. Yeah, I don't know, but
I want to say mid '80s.
It might have been 86, 87. Yeah.
It might have been a bit earlier because
you think so. Okay.
Because, like I said, I remember going. You get these guys telling stories and they can recall this or recall that. I can't recall anything as a kid, but I remember distinctly going into this shop one day outside the shopping centre. The toy shop was across the street, and going over and picking up Major Blood and going, hang on, this is different. He looks different. And bringing him home, and it was only years later that I learned that Hasbro had bought out Palitoy, and then as a result of that, Palitoy had got access to all their molds, and that's where we start getting the Action Force vehicles coming out first, that were recolored versions of G.I. Joe, and it built from that then they start using the molds for the figures. So we got all our initial wave of G.I. Joe figures were Action Force figures in Action Force packaging, the same as the 5 POA. So there was like this mixed period of the 5 POA and the fully articulated versions then as well. And then eventually it came with the G.I. Joe style card back. So it was Action Force, but it was black with the explosion behind it.
This is the SAS 12-inch. I don't have his helmet or his goggles on, but I think that's late 80s maybe, or 90s.
Your early videos were all 12-inch figures, weren't they, Vern?
It was a combination because when I was little, Amigo had all the superheroes and then the Knights. So I had all those. Those were like a 7-inch, 8-inch figure, but they were fully posable. But yeah, I had a lot of these 12-inch Joes. So I had the military ones, and then later they kind of blended in and became the adventure team.
Team, yeah.
So I have so this is an adventure team, right? This guy's an adventure team. What they were doing was getting away from like the military type.
Because every once in a while there's a period where they feel like people won't buy military figures. Like we actually just went through that with when they had the Gulf War and all that stuff, and people weren't. So they were actually thinking of there was a spot where they were going to put G.I. Joe totally in space and make them like the G.I. Space Force or something like that, or Space Force Joe or something like that. And those figures never actually came out. I remember seeing pictures of them, but they never came out.
Yeah. This is my oldest one that I still have.
And he was the star of that video.
Yeah, he's Ace the pilot.
Yeah.
He's got his little sidearm, and then I have a yellow helicopter, the one that has like the little cable that drops down.
Is he 64?
Yeah, this is 60s. I think it might be a little bit after 64, maybe a couple of years later. It's before the Kung Fu grip.
Yeah,
that's for sure. But the hands are cool because they're pegs, so you can actually pull them out and not have a hand or stick something in there like a hook if you wanted to like pretend like you got his hand cut off or something.
And that's where the head swapping came from. It started with hand swapping on there.
You can take these heads off also. Yeah. You know what's funny is we had a whole bunch of them with the flocked hair, and I remember my brother, my middle brother, used to like take a razor blade and he would shave them, so we could have some figures that didn't have like full beards and mustache. Some of them had mustaches. Some of them had like no beard, no mustache. Some of them had like the little handlebar deal or whatever. It was like nuts how they would shave them down, but that's what happens when you get the flocked hair.
Yeah, it was Red Shadows. Those were the guys. Red Shadows.
Yeah.
Flocked hair.
Well, they're gonna make that in the future for us, Vern or Rick. They'll have that in the future. It's coming soon, just like meat grown in a lab. Yeah.
Rick's like me, like my flocked hair.
Yeah.
If you had to get rid of everything and could only collect one line, which would it be?
That's a great question. That's a really good question. If I had to get rid of everything and only collect one line, oh man, Connor, have you answered this question before?
That's a harder question than which kid would you pick?
Right, I know, right? I'm trying to stall. Man, it's like maybe hey, Connor, you answer this question
We go
first.
through some chats while you're thinking about it. Brian's, I'm 100% getting Hank Scorpio as well because he's my favorite Simpsons character. Jonathan is subpar stole NECA's business model. Okay, half-ass products and charge twice the price. That's a good business model, though, right? Charging twice the price. The reaction figures look great, but with 5 POA, they might as well,
and the reaction line is really expensive too. Those figures really should be around $10, but
they're double. They're double.
Yeah, I can't.
Scuba Pete loves your Batman. Vintage is the Bisher. Oh, he misspelled this word on purpose to pretend like he's driving. Vintage is just old. Dino, let's see. He's not talking modern figures if his house was on fire. Yeah, he's not taking the modern figures. Yeah, there you go.
That's right.
If I could only collect one line, it would probably be classified. That is Matt Drake saying that. Let's see. I also want to say hi to Bick. I've never seen Bick in the chat before, so thanks for joining us on the Toy Duo.
Okay, I got it. If I had to get rid of everything in my collection and only keep one line, it would be a line that's getting ready to end. It's getting really close to finishing up. And that would probably be the Masters of the Universe Origins figures.
Oh, nice.
I love them. They look fantastic. They look great. I mean, we're about to get Snake Mountain. I just got Point Dread, the Talon Fighter. I've backed the and have paid for my my Eternia. And so Eternia's coming in. So I would have to say, if I had to get rid of everything and only keep one, it would be that. And I think they're wrapping it up. I think it's getting close, because I know that like now Mattel is like pulling that line from stores and they're going to Mattel Creations only.
Okay.
So like I know like the next couple of figures were only going to be like Cyclone and Extendar. I think are only going to be on
Creations. I think
on Creations, and you know they're making some other characters like was it Queen Slither or whatever her name is that I don't think we've ever had before, or some of the Snake Men that we've never had, like some Snake Battle Packs and things like that, Skeleton Warriors. So I know that they're starting to like pad the line with other characters that we've never had, which is great. But I think they're really, you know, getting to the end of the main line. Like I think they're getting pretty close to wrapping it up, and then they're going to start over with the Filmation line, which will go into retail, which I'll collect that as well. So, oh man, too many Masters of the Universe lines because I'm also collecting Masterverse as well. So
what hurts me a little bit though
It's not a
What hurts
horrible
me a little bit
episode.
is
It's the time and place.
So
what
did,
hurts me
so
a little bit. Hey, can I speak? I am a guest here, aren't I? So what hurts me a little bit is, say I'm Jack Black, say I'm Lizzo, call up my family, hey, I'm on Star Wars, check this out. And then they get the episode, hey, I did fantastic, how was it? And then they hear about like how many people disliked the episode. So Jack Black, Lizzo, if you're watching, I enjoyed your performance. You guys did a great job, but as far as in a Star Wars universe, it just took me out of it a little bit. I still enjoy it. I love you guys. I think everyone that's working on Star Wars is doing an amazing job. It just, my opinion, just took me out of it a little bit. So I'm not going to dislike Star Wars. So
that whole thing, that whole sequence of the king and the queen or whatever with them just reminded me so much of Thor: Love and Thunder, right? Like that's where I kind of went. I hated it in Thor, but I loved it here. I don't know why.
See, I didn't. If I never see Jack Black in Star Wars again, I'll be happy.
Well, see, okay, so you have a personal issue with Jack Black, I think.
With both of them, I never want to see either one of them in Star Wars.
Yeah,
again.
and I think they're great. They're hilarious.
I think they're great too. But as far as a Star Wars character in a speaking role, no, maybe in a background character as a creature, that's fine. Keep him in there. I think it's too distracting. As soon as I saw Jack Black, and I didn't really, I know Lizzo a little bit. I'm not like into that more modern music. I'm more of a 70s, 80s guy. But as when I saw them, it took me out of it that I couldn't even focus on what was happening. You know what I mean? It was just in my mind was just like, oh my goodness, Jack Black is in an episode of Star Wars. So the next 10 minutes, it was like a blur. I might have to rewatch it.
You will. You should. I think you should watch it 4 or 5. This is the one episode I've probably seen more than 4 times already.
The only time I rewatch an episode
didn't make me feel that way at all. Like I liked Christopher Lloyd in the episode. I just wish he had some sort of connection to the overall plot of the story instead of just being a throwaway character.
Well, I heard that in the next episode, his alter identity is going back in time, and he's going to be working behind the scenes.
I think there's too many one-liners too that are kind of like when Mando says to Bo-Katan, "You had me at battle droids." Hey, Vern, speaking of Clash of the Titans, I know we were on that topic for a little while.
I know you're going to find me a sword and send it to me.
You're going to see something even cooler than a sword. So check this out. So I showed you I picked these guys up, right?
Well, you tried earlier, but I wasn't paying attention.
Who's the hero? Who's the true hero of that movie?
What do you mean, the owl?
Right. Boom. I have a vintage style owl to go with this collection I just picked up. Have you ever seen the owl?
It's not even from the original collection. It's just some reproduction thing that somebody thought needed to be part of the collection.
It is only the coolest thing ever made. You don't need to put me on full screen or anything, Vern.
Okay.
I will, Ben.
Thanks for letting me know.
On an arm.
I pretty much already knew that because I'm controlling all the controls.
Is that not the coolest thing?
You're right. It's not.
What's that from? Do you know?
What?
Okay, let's take a closer look at it because it does not look gold and it does not look metallic.
It is gold, man.
Now, what is that? What's that from?
Titans. It is the owl from the movie Clash of the Titans.
The original movie one?
Yep. Well, wow. Yeah, the original.
It's a reproduction figure to go along with the original figures because they didn't have an owl.
Okay.
They didn't produce
now,
an owl.
what year are we talking with those released?
Look at what Jonathan has to say. The owl should be gold.
He is.
He's not. He looks dark brown.
He's gold. He's gold. It doesn't show up on this camera, but he's gold. The front is silver. And the wing.
If gold doesn't show up on your camera, then I think you're going to need a new camera.
I spent the money on this owl. I can't get a new camera. And he comes with clips on the legs, so he can fit on the arm of a figure.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really new tech.
I need a Morai like that for Ahsoka. She never comes with the bird.
Fake gold.
That is the coolest thing, man.
That is
Fake
cool.
gold.
The box is mint.
I'm not.
Oh, it was the other one that was around $20 some, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Skyhawk was 25.
What's crazy is what did I spend? Didn't I spend like $20 or $30 for the two of them? And then you got one with the box for like cheaper than I think I got the two of them.
Everything's intact, nothing broken.
Yeah. I'd love to have that box. You were saying it's damaged, but I'm like, I don't care.
Sun bleached and it's a little dented up or whatever, but I'm gonna iron it and flatten it out.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Blueprints in it.
Wow.
The baggy's still in there, so for 25
the other
bucks,
thing you can do, other thing you can do is take a real rigid cardboard, like go buy like a really nice rigid cardboard and cut it to the right size and build a box that slides inside that box. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
Because I did that with one of my masks. I have the mask Switchblade, the helicopter, the blue.
No, that detracts from the value.
The
if
box
you build
was completely destroyed.
Box, it's not original anymore, and it's not going to be valuable.
But the box was almost destroyed. But I built a cardboard box and slid it in there, and it.
Oh, John, you modified your original stuff.
I didn't glue it to it.
Picked this guy up today too.
That's cool. Yeah.
I'm disappointed. John gave us that big speech about modifying your stuff and how he does, and then he modified his boxes.
Modified.
And stuff. Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
It's not modified. I didn't color it or glue it or anything.
G-Force, what do you got going on this week? Anything? You got anything coming up on your channel?
I did a quick 3-store toy hunt today, so that video will be coming out, and then I'm going to buy the Valaverse figures. So those are 2 next videos probably on the channel.
The contractors working on the windows, it's just the whole place is a nightmare. It'll be this way for a few weeks, I think.
Okay, so now you need an accounting of your figures because that contractor's there with his toolbox open.
Yeah.
Before he leaves for the day. Oh, there's a blue snaggle
tooth. Blue snaggle tooth, double telescoping Luke. He's shopping while he's there. Oh, hot toy. There you
go. At least you're doing it now when it's not the rainy season, because geez, I couldn't imagine doing that in the summer.
Well, fortunately, we have a
opening.
We have a sliding glass door, and they're gonna do the balcony. So when it'll be all glassed in. So that whole, basically one whole wall of our condo is going to be completely glass and hurricane proof. Hurricane proof for, I think it's like 250 miles an hour. So
there you go.
You could spear a tree at 250 miles an hour and it won't go through the glass.
Hold on.
We'll all come over and try that.
You better look twice at the specs on that. Because I don't think it's an object traveling at 250 miles per hour. I think it's wind gusts up to 250 miles per hour won't blow the windows in. But I think like if it was hurling like a loose tire and it was going like 49 miles per hour, I'm having a real hard time believing that that's not breaking out the framing of the window.
The window might not break. The window might not break, but the whole wall is coming down.
Enough about windows. Enough about windows. How's your fridge, John? How's your fridge?
I can see the insurance guy. Well, you know what? The windows aren't broken.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Oh man.
Let's see. We got like Johnny Cash, the contractor, will get his collection one piece.
Ooh, there you go.
All right. What's this guy now? Airborne, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Airborne. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Should he have come with like a parachute or something, or is that somebody else?
Probably.
No, he should have come with an M16 with a bayonet.
Yes, exactly.
Bit of a sore point for me. Airborne was my second behind Snake Eyes of course. Was my second go-to figure as a kid whenever I was playing G.I. Joe. So
he was always a childhood favorite of everybody. I mean, we all fight over who gets to play with him.
Such a cool looking figure. So it's great to get him in classified, and I'll be swapping out. Now it's a cool gun that the accessory is cool that they're giving him, but that's my one sore point. I just would have loved an M16.
Yeah. So does he come with the chair?
The stool? No, I don't think so.
Because that's misleading. To me, that's misleading.
Yeah, they're right. I want the stool now.
Does the stool come with quick kick? Because he's in the background utilizing that thing as a weapon. Even though he's got a back, even though he's wearing his backpack and has 2 swords on his back, he decided that the chair is a much better weapon.
Yeah.
The old saying goes, the chair is mightier than the sword.
And they're in the middle of a fight, so I'm curious to know where the boa dude, whatever his name is, where are his gloves in that picture?
Yeah, they are kind of in a cage. It looks like they're in a cage match, and people are cheering them on. Yeah, people are cheering him on, and then all of a sudden, he whips out his pistol like
right. No, it's not a cage match anymore. It's a shooting match. And he's wrong. I don't know who he's shooting. Oh, you know who he's shooting at? Not quick kick. But see in this fight scene right here, you can see Bo is wearing the gloves, right?
Yeah.
But in this picture here, it doesn't look like he's wearing the gloves.
Because you know what? It got so intense. He got to that part where he rips his gloves off and throws them on the ground. So did they balance quick kick on Big Boa's arms and then tilt the camera? That's what they did.
Used some fancy wiring system. No,
because see the top of the cage
like that.
The top of the cage is not level with the top of the picture. You see what I mean? They tilted the camera.
Yeah, but when he puts his arms, he floats.
Oh, okay. I forgot about the float action.
See his hands, how flat they are? Because he's flapping right there.
Float action. Gotcha.
He's mid-flap.
None of us in the panel and none of us in the chat would be buying or collecting toys today if it wasn't for Kenner Star Wars figures in 1978.
That's not true.
It is true because none of these toy lines would exist.
Yeah.
No.
It would be like Barbie and Hot Wheels, and that would be it.
I would be collecting 12-inch G.I. Joes today.
They wouldn't exist. G.I. Joe never would have existed if it. Well, yeah, they would have stopped.
These toys did not invent toys.
I'm not saying they invented toys, but the toy industry as we know it today.
I was collecting toys before these came out. I had toys
before Star Wars figures.
I had this Shogun Warriors. I had like all those little metal ones. I had the soft vinyl Japanese superhero ones. I had the 12-inch G.I. Joes. I had the Migos, Action Jackson. I had all of those.
So
those
modern. I think the point was.
But what you're saying is,
modern toys were highly influenced by.
Exist. You may not have had Star Wars figures.
I really like that they did this Queen Amidala version, though. They need to do these in Black Series and stuff.
Figure.
Like trying to pin the entire toy collecting world on one toy line, I think is reaching it a little bit, Rick.
No, it's not. I don't
no,
think I don't
every
know
modern
anything about the toy industry.
Every modern toy maker, every documentary says Star Wars revolutionized.
Somebody built a time machine, went back to the 60s and said, I need to invent a 12-inch G.I. Joe because if we don't do this, we'll never have 3 3/4 inch Star Wars figures.
No, but like modern it's I don't think it can be debated that the vintage Kenner Star Wars toys influence what we know as like modern toys and action figures today. Like
every documentary on toys says that.
Place adventure people, so the scale is already in use and being used, and
but watch any documentary on toys and watch any documentary on the industry itself, and they all say Star Wars was the major turning point in toys. It was a major impact.
But it wasn't I don't think it was necessarily the 3 3/4 inch Star Wars figures. I think it was just Star Wars in general. If Mego had taken that license and made Mego action figures, but Star Wars related, Think about it. If Mego got that license, your original Star Wars figures would have been fully posable.
No, because Mego made 3 3/4 figures.
No, Mego made like. What are you talking about?
Mego made 3 3/4 figures. Black Hole.
What they would have made. They would have made these. This is
they
from
would have made
1973.
3 3/4
Before
figures.
your Star Wars, precious Star Wars figures came out.
Yeah, they would have made them like that.
Also made 3
They would have been this
figures.
size.
But that was after Star Wars, wasn't it?
This is before Star
Clash
Wars.
of the Titans. Yes, it was after Star Wars.
Yeah.
I think G.I. Joe's would have been great that size.
They would have only made
G.I.
12
Joe would
figures.
have been a good 8-inch line.
Trust
there, Connor.
me.
Like,
But you also
if you
get
had-
innovations in playsets and vehicles and mini rigs and all that stuff too.
Of course.
Trust me,
Yeah, but
any
so did
any
Mego.
other
Mego
other
the
company.
Batmobile, the Bat Cycle, the Bat Chopper, they made all that stuff for those Migos.
Yeah, but you would have only got
Smaller
4
than they should have
vehicles.
been.
You would have got like ships, and you would have got vehicles for your Star Wars figures.
You only would have
in
got
that
4 or
Mego size.
5. You only would have got 4 or 5.
That's why
the only
G.I.
reason.
No
the only
way.
reason that Kenner went every other company that was big at the time would have only made 12 figures and 3 or 4 vehicles,
Well,
and
here's
because
the
that
thing.
was the standard. That was the standard of what they did. The only reason Kenner went out of the box and made obscure figures was
It's
because they were
that's all
a
they could
young.
do.
They were a young, brand new company that didn't have anything set in stone
That were
for their manufacturing.
They didn't have anything. They took a long shot on the
Yes.
Star Wars thing, and it
Yeah.
paid off for them. Yes, that's
Yeah.
all that happened. But the thing is, you can't go back and say there's no way to know, right? Like what toys would have been like today, because I think I would still have been collecting probably. I just have different stuff in my collection.
Yeah,
I think that
There you go.
One.
Mego Hulk versus Luke Skywalker.
I've got 3,000 Star Wars figures, but I got 1 Mego Hulk.
I think because of the way Star Wars took off, that allowed G.I. Joe to go into like a thing where they could have hundreds of figures.
All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the clips that we showed you, the ones that we pulled out for the Toy Duo team from 2023. We had a great year. We had some fantastic people that came on, and we look forward to 2024 and season 2 and what that's going to bring. And you know what, everybody? We'll see you next week on the Toy Duo team.